Welcome to this episode of Ask the Guitar Coach, the only podcast where you get answers to all your guitar-related questions. If you're interested in developing your guitar skills and reaching your music goals, please send me an email at the email address ioannis@ioannis.org. That is ioannis@ioannis.org, so that I can let you know about all the different packages of elite guitar coaching and how you can get private coaching by me. Without further ado, let's go to our question for the day. 5 reasons why I prefer EPs to CDs. So when I coach my students, after they've become fairly advanced in their playing and they want to develop their compositions and make their own music, I usually advise them to create an EP instead of a CD. There are several reasons for that, and this is what we're going to talk about today. The various reasons why I prefer EPs to CDs. Now, there are many things that I like about EPs and there are many things that I like about CDs, but today we're talking about EPs. So, let's get started. Reason number 1. When a guitar player is just starting his career, he has absolutely zero discography, meaning he has not played in any recordings. And he has no recording to his name. So, by creating an EP, it's a much easier way to get your first recording in your own discography. It's only 3 or maybe 4 pieces of music instead of a CD. It's just easier to start developing your resume and having a discography there. Reason number 2, it takes less than half the time to make an EP than a CD. A CD usually would be anywhere from 8 to 11 pieces of music. An EP is 3 to 4 pieces of music. That takes a lot less time. So if it's a tryout, if he wants to try to see how he enjoys compositions and different styles of music, it will just be ready much faster. And the faster you can have it ready, the faster you can have your feedback loop on where people listen to it and you get feedback on your playing and what you can develop and anything else that might be useful to your career. Reason number 3. EPs are much easier to digest in the current musical climate. What I mean basically is that pretty much nobody has the patience to listen to full CDs anymore. Even for artists whose playing we already know that we enjoy. So if you have a new CD by an artist you like and there are 12 new pieces of music or 11 new pieces of music, it's a really big thing to digest that. Meanwhile, if it's only 3 or 4 pieces of music, which is the case with EPs as we mentioned, then it's much easier to digest. So you have much higher likelihood of someone listening to the whole EP than you would have of him listening to the whole CD. And let's go to reason number 4. Creating an EP is much less expensive. Usually, because you actually have way less recording, you only record 3 or 4 songs instead of 8, 9, 10 or 11 songs. And also because usually EPs only have a front cover. They don't usually have a booklet and a lot of graphic design, just the basic cover of the EP. And this also makes it much more doable, much more feasible. For example, if you would need $5,000, I'm just throwing out a random number now, to create your own CD, you would only need maybe $1,500 to create your own EP. It's much more viable for the vast majority of people that are not, very wealthy to be able to afford and to invest that much money into creating a CD. And now let's go to reason number 5. And this has to do with what we call minimum marketable event. Now, several years ago, for an artist to stay current, every year or every 2 years, he would have to release his LP or his CD so that people would know he's still around. Since then, the musical landscape has changed massively. We have social media, we're constantly being bombarded with notifications and everything. So if someone stays silent and out of any production for 1 or 2 years, he's basically has been outcompeted by other musicians. If he creates an EP and then every 6 months or every 1 year he releases something like that, apart from all the previous obvious advantages we mentioned, what he has is he has a new thing to give to his fans, which means that every 6 months, for example, his fans have something new from him, so he's never far away, he's never has a big break from producing and creating music. He's always in the front of his fans' minds. And that's very important because now he has a marketable event, the release of an EP that he can advertise, he can make performances of, he can develop and create a release party and all these kind of things. While if he would have to wait for a full CD, that would have taken 2 or 3 times as much time. So these are 5 reasons, and I will give also an extra one, a bonus reason, which is it's much easier to make a theme EP. So for example, if someone is like, let's say a classic rock guitar player, but he's also dabbling with playing jazz music. So it's much easier for him to create an EP of jazz standards and show this specific side of his playing to his fans than it would be to create a full CD of jazz standards and do the same thing, because it's going to be much more difficult to create a full CD, more cost, all the things we talked about. So it's much easier to create an EP as a musical experiment and to see what are the reactions of your fan base. So there you have it, 5 reasons and 1 bonus on why I personally prefer releasing EPs to CDs, especially when it comes to my students. So I hope this was helpful and gave you some things to think about, and I will see you on the next episode of Ask the Guitar Coach. Bye bye.